6 months ago I pulled out quite a bit of my portfolio when I saw the markets dropping as a result of the Trump tariffs introduction. Luckily my investments were already well into profit, so I didn't lose out as much as I could have done, but I did miss some of the potential gains in the following bounce back on the markets. Now, since April this year I've been gradually reinvesting some of the cash that was held on my SIPP. Now, I've explained that on previous videos, but in this video I'm going to show you the returns on this and how I'm going to be using this kind of growth to fund my retirement when I retire at 55 next year. I've also got a really exciting pensions transfer update on the progress of what's happening with that. So let's get to it. Before I do that, I just want to reiterate, I'm not a financial advisor or a financial planner, far from it. I'm just a bloke in a caravan who wants to retire next year when I turn 55 and can access my pension. So I'll be looking to access the pension, sell my house, put the whole lot into the bank, and hopefully live a life of not working and possibly moving to France as well, potentially. So first of all, let's have a look at my SIPP, my self-invested personal pension with HL, Hargreaves Lansdown. I'm going to use screen recording on my phone. Okay, so we're going to go into the SIPP now. Forgive me for not looking at the camera, I'm now looking at my screen, which you should also be able to see as well. I started investing in £1,000 blocks. So what I was doing is I had about 80,000 odd in cash in my SIPP where I'd pulled everything out. Purely because it was kind of coming up close to my retirement and I couldn't afford to have everything just drop. I'd already gained quite a bit on my investments anyway, more than doubled my money, but I was very displeased to see it go from 107,000 down to about 80 odd. And I've got another pension as well, so this one in my SIPP is 83 currently. It was 80, and I've got another one with about 70,000 in, which I'm in the process of transferring, which I'm going to update you on in a minute. So this one, as you can see, has gained, you've got 83,439 and it's gained 3,300, so it's literally just over 80,000, and that's at a 5.5% gain. That's since April. We're now June, so it's only 2 months in, but even if you were to take that for 6 months and then project it forward, that would give you a 10% return of the year, right? Which is what I've modelled a lot of my growth on. Now, I know some people said that, you know, if you can get 10% over the year, you should be a hedge fund manager. Well, I don't want that, because that's another job, isn't it? But, you know, even if it only performs at 10% a year, I mean, this is based on 2 months, so 2 months growth at 5.5, you know, work that out, 6 times that, you know, you're talking about 30% over the year, which is a really big return. You know, I've also been told, you know, watch out for big drops, you know, the stock market can drop in 50% and everything else. Well, I've been investing, you know, way back since before 2008 crash, and you know, even then it didn't drop 50%. I think it dropped about 20-25%. I could be wrong, but it picked up, is the main point, fairly quickly. Over the subsequent years it picked up and went higher than it was from, you know, before the crash. Then again we had some big what were perceived as crashes during COVID, and I invested all through there, managed my investments, and they still, you know, went back up again after that drop as well. So and at no point did they drop anywhere near 50% during COVID. So, you know, unless there's another major crash during my retirement, which there may well be, you know, it could happen every sort of 5, 6, 7 years, but you know, I'm hoping that it would then regain after that. So putting it into my modeler, you know, at a 10% growth per year, inflation at 3.5%. I know some people have said you need to model inflation at 10%. Well, if inflation from the CPI or the government figures was 10%, investments would return a lot more than 10%. Generally, that's what I seem to find, that, you know, if inflation's going up, people are making more profits, shares prices are going up, and therefore your returns are going up if you're invested in the right stuff. So just having a look on my screen now, my top performer is 9% with the Fidelity index. Have a look at that over say a 5-year term, and you can see, you know, growth of well over 100%, maybe 110% there over a 5-year term. Last 3 months has been a bit of turmoil, and it's just starting to pick up. So I've obviously invested in just the right time, April, May. So in the last month it's picked up again. In the last 6 months it's had a bad time there. That's when all the tariffs were introduced and we lost a load of money. but overall it's generally a good performing index. And that goes right the way down to somebody recommended that I invest in the City of London Investment Trust. That just keeps losing money. It goes up and down, but that will give me a dividend of apparently about 4.25%. So we're going to see how that's going. But every time I've invested in anything to do with the UK, I've always lost money. So, you know, I'm invested more heavily in the American stock markets, and you can see the next one up from there. I've got this in order of gain. The Vanguard FTSE 100 index here, which has gained a mere 2.72%. It's pretty pathetic compared to, you know, the 9% and 7%, 6% that I'm getting from the US stock markets. You know, and I don't find that there's massive risk either associated with those big gains in the US markets. The only risk was literally when Trump got in and started all his messing around. So before that, it's, you know, it had normal drops, normal crashes with all other markets, not crashes, but, you know, declines, and then it always picks up again. So I've always found that the North American markets to be the best ones, and UK markets generally are very quick to drop and slow to pick back up again. So that's just an update on there, and that's what it's looking like at the moment. So it's all looking okay. Based on that, with my modeler, if I put 83,000 into my modeler and I model it at 10% with an inflation rate of 3.5%, and then I look to take over 7 years, I take 7,200 a year, I'm actually left with enough. So the gains on this alone would be enough to pay me for 7 years until my wife receives her state pension, which is interesting. So, you know, but I've got a lot more than that. I've got a total of over 150,000. I'll be taking a 25%, so that'll reduce it down to 112,500. But it still leaves me a lot more leeway. You know, unless I've completely miscalculated all of this, you know, that would then also give me a bit of a backup. So if I was to base it on this, on the 83,000, I'd still have 70,000 locked in to savings to, you know, help as a backstop. Now, the transfer that's going through, basically I've got a defined contributions pension with a certain company that was when I was working at the bank. And I have opted to do personal investments with them, but their investment is very, very limited. They are dreadful to get hold of. They take ages to communicate back and forth. Whereas with my HL SIPP, I can do it all on an app. Apparently the other pension is on an app, but the app reviews are dreadful. They're saying it just doesn't work. So I need my money in somewhere where I can access it. I can get in touch with someone. I've got a personal account manager with HL, and I've got, you know, people that I can get in touch with very, very quickly to make decisions and manage my pension. I haven't got that with this other company, so I need to move it. Now, this has been going back and forth for years now. I tried originally to move it, and because the pot is worth more than 30,000, they said there was a defined benefit underpin, which was a certain guarantee. If the stock markets were to drop so low, they would guarantee you a certain amount. But after a strongly worded letter to them, because they wouldn't tell me exactly what that guarantee is, and I threatened going to the Ombudsman and everything else, they then came back and said, actually, we don't require legal financial advice, regulated financial advice for you to move this, because the defined benefit underpin is worth so little, it wasn't triggered with the new valuation of 70-odd thousand. So, you know, it would have to drop massively, like to a couple of thousand, for that to kick in. So it's really not worth the paper it's written on. I've subsequently had an email back from, I had all the transfer forms, sent them off to HL. HL came back to me to clarify loads of things as well, and HL are trying to cover their backsides. They really are. They come back to me with another letter after a strongly worded email to them again, because they were really messing me around, saying, well, we're going to require that you have financial advice anyway, regardless of whether it's a legal requirement, which I was very unhappy about. So they have now come back to me and said, yep, we deem that you will be responsible for any transfer you do. We trust that you can make your decisions yourself. We also acknowledge that there will be no legal requirement for you to do financial advice or take financial advice, because the benefits on your defined benefit pension would be worth less than what you'd pay for a financial advisor. So finally they've acknowledged that. They've given me 3 options. The options are that One is I seek financial advice anyway and get regulated financial advice and pay for it and then decide what to do. They've already said that even if a financial advisor says no, don't do it, HL won't let me do it. Utterly ridiculous. What's the point of having financial advice then? The second option was just leave it and walk away, leave it where it is. And the third option was, yeah, I understand the risk I'm taking, please go ahead with the transfer, which is what I've done. So I will update you again when I get more news on that, but I'm hopeful now that we're actually, after challenging them properly, and I'll admit I used ChatGPT to really help me find out exactly how this works and to help me write some really strongly worded emails, you know, threatening to go to Ombudsman if necessary, and I've got a result from it. So you know, I didn't need financial advisor to do that, and I doubt a financial advisor would have done that. They probably just would have said, no, because it's defined benefit, don't do it, don't touch it. Well, you know, the benefits on there are absolutely worthless to me. So yeah, a really good result, which means I can manage everything myself, and I've also got a massively wider choice to choose to put my investments into, whereas I was very, very limited with the other one. So there we go, all updated for now. I hope that's been interesting. I know some of you that are watching might be in a similar position and looking to, you know, retire early. Some might be in a better position than me. Some might be in a less favourable financial position. I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday, and he was talking about pension. You know, we were talking about, oh, you know, the grind of daily work and everything else. He does deliveries, but in a slightly different capacity to me. He said, oh well, it's 67, isn't it? And I said, well, you know, what are you talking about? He goes, oh, state pension. So he's basically got a military pension of about £400 a month, which he took when he was 55. I think he took it early, so he might have had a lump sum payment, and he gets £400 a month. He's got no personal pension, and he's relying on state pension. So he says he can't do anything for about the next 5, 6, 7 years. I think he's about 60-ish, a bit older than me, and can't retire. You know, and so I mentioned to him about my personal pension and what I'm looking to do next year, and he said he's been considering just selling up. He's fed up with the UK, fed up with the cost of living and everything else, and he's looking at selling up, maybe, and just buying a canal boat, which is an option we've been looking at and are still entertaining. You know, rather than going to France, we would still, all the options are still on the table. But yeah, he was considering that. He's got a mate who's got 2 canal boats, one that he rents out through Airbnb, and that pays for him to live on his canal boat and everything else. So yeah, something that we're still looking into, and this is why we want to just, you know, spend some time in the caravan next year, touring the country, get some money in the bank. We'll have enough in the bank from the 25% that I take to fund our budget for at least a year, and because we will really be living on a shoestring, and you know, and all of our outgoings will be gone, all our debts will be gone, the mortgage will be gone, everything will be gone. Won't even have an electric bill, you know, water bill, utilities, that sort of thing. We'll have some gas to pay for and stuff. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing, is taking stock and using that time to really properly plan down and kind of fine tune all of our plans and decide what we're going to do. So in the meantime, I really appreciate all the encouraging comments. Thank you so much. Also, a massive thank you to David Howell 2046 for your super thanks. I really appreciate that. It was completely unexpected and out of the blue, but it all helps me continue doing this channel. So yeah, really appreciate that. In the meantime, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.